Remember, this is your opportunity to ask any question you like, not even about the subject that I'm going to talk about, but about anything, and or suggest things that you would like me to talk about in the future. You can always do that in the group and put comments, etc. So but feel free to add any thoughts that you like here also. It's cooled off, thank God. So we're not now in a heat wave. We're back to normal summer temperatures. So the mornings are fresh, and yeah, it means that we can get on and do things. I don't know if you follow the page, but you would have seen that we've moved the aggro herd again, which was a dawn ride. Nearly said dawn raid. Yeah, I love it. It's really a lot of fun riding with 3 horses, as in free, not 3, 3 horses running around. Okay, so welcome to Field Notes Friday. And if you're new here, or this is the first time that you've joined me, every Friday, as far as possible, I come on here and talk to you about things that have come to my mind during the week, usually connected to the posts that I put up. You will have noticed a theme over the last couple of weeks that we're talking about senses and how important understanding sensory input is to understand for our horses, for us to understand, to better communicate with our horses. And we've already done sight, and we touched on smell. And this week I talked about touch and the importance of that communication that we have with our horses. But specifically today, what I'd like to talk about is one aspect of touch, and that is the mind-body connection. So specifically, how touch connects directly to the mind and body. It connects both of those elements for both us and our horses. So we're not separate in this. This is something that we share as mammals, and that's another topic that I would like to touch on in the future, how we can appreciate our horses by appreciating what we share. But I digress. So getting back to the topic today, which is the mind-body connection that touch brings. I think most of us don't realize just how much meaning horses take from every single touch. We do things to them all the time, and it usually begins with a physical conversation, haltering, grooming, saddling, etc. And if we're not careful, we become numb to the fact that those are all conversations. It becomes one way as opposed to a bilateral discussion between 2 individuals. So imagine this scenario where you go out, you collect your horse, and you throw on the blanket, no pause. You throw on the saddle, no pause. You girth tight and quick, and off you go. 5 minutes later, there's a reaction, a spook, a brace, or even maybe something bigger, a buck, a rear, a spin. And we think, where did that come from? And we attribute words to our horses like stupid or silly or idiot. But if we look closer, the horse probably already told us something was going on way back before we even got to that point, but we just didn't stop to listen. Now imagine the same scenario, but different, where you approach with the blanket, but first you place your hand softly on their withers and you run it gently down their spine. And you feel the twitch of the skin, that tremble. the little release of the head, and maybe even a sigh or softening in their presence, in their being, as they register that you are there, not just physically, but emotionally connected. Then you lay the blanket and you wait, you observe. Then you add the saddle and you wait. You go through the whole thing, you wait, you observe. And when you girth, you do it slowly. You pause, you observe. And what's happening in this slower version is not just politeness, not just time wasting, it actually is embedded in science. So each touch is activating receptors in their skin called mechanoreceptors. That these receptors send signals straight to the brain. And that is proprioception in action. The body orientating itself in space and connecting to movement, to touch and awareness, and in this case, connecting to the conversation, the physical conversation that you're having with them. And every step of that conversation is a sentence. The pad is a sentence, the saddle is a sentence, the girth is a sentence, etc. Now, horses live through this all the time. When they forage, their whiskers help them sort plants from stones. When they track, those same whiskers feed constant information about the environment straight to the brain. So when we use our hands, our brushes, our girths, the same thing is happening. The information flows straight into the nervous system, shaping not just how they feel physically, but how safe, connected, and balanced they feel emotionally. So for me, this is why understanding mind and body connection through touch is really important. And by taking those pauses through any dialogue that we have, adds time in the moment, yes, but in the long term will reduce any stress or tension that may build up, and therefore there's no lengthening of time within that conversation. So I work on, there's thousands of zones within the horse's body that we should be having conversations with, and we can have conversations with. But I concentrate when I'm coaching this on 8 zones in particular, because these are the zones that we have an impact on when we want to do something. And there's nothing wrong with wanting to do, as long as we do it from a place of being. And these areas I revisit with every horse in my care, no matter how experienced they are or how easy they seem. Every now and again, I have a reminder of this conversation, and more about reminding them, it's about reminding myself. It's about checking in with myself to ensure that I am observing and I am pausing at the right moment for the right length of time for that horse. It's not just about getting them used to gear or handling. It's about checking in on their mind and body connection through your mind and body connection, and those two coming together, connecting and collaborating. It's a bit like a dialogue, a way of saying, are you with me? Do you feel balanced here? Do you need more time? And you're asking yourself those same questions. Because the most important thing is around all of these conversations is feeling secure and confident, but with a foundation of realism. And what I mean by that is confidence can be laid on very weak foundations. And that's the sort of confidence that will get you into trouble. I still ride my horses, I saddle and I go, but I do it with this layered conversation first, so that we can do it together. So it's a collaborative moment, not just mechanical. And if we can move away from the mechanical feelings of our dialogues with our horses, it becomes much more gentle and fluid, and there's much more rhythm to it. Now, I'm not suggesting that any of you believe your horses are machines, or that when I spoke earlier about you throw the blanket on, you throw the saddle on. That's a very direct way of putting it. But I would suggest, because I add myself to this group as well, so I'm not saying that I am above this, and this is why I practice it. I would suggest that there is times you could go a little slower to build a little bit more collaboration within the conversations that you have, by connecting their mind and body, by allowing proprioception to happen and be active in the moment. And I think that is the power of touch. That's how we can be empowered when we are touching and when we need to be physical with our horses, because the physicality of our conversations cannot be dismissed or denied, because as caretakers, most of our interactions begin physically, like I say. The power of touch is not surface level. It is more than skin deep. It runs through those mechanoreceptors. It runs through the nervous system. It enters the mind, and it creates an atmosphere, emotional atmosphere, within the horse and within yourself that is resilient. It comes back to emotional resilience as well. There's a balance in there. There's a trust. You trust in yourself and you trust in your horse, and therefore your horse trusts in you and in themselves. And when you understand it and slow down enough to listen, the whole relationship changes. Even if you're just concentrating on the 8 zones that we impact on a daily basis. So before I close this conversation today, can you think back to your last touch with your horse? Was it asking, telling, or inviting? And what did they give back to you in that moment? Did you actually pick up on anything? Again, this is not a judgmental question. This is a moment of reflection for you to be able to go back and understand the physical questions that you're asking your horses at any one time. Now, if this fascinates you as much as it fascinates me, because I think it is an incredible, powerful lesson that we can gift ourselves, I'm going to add into the files here a PDF, which is based on my booklet, that handout that goes with the Power of Touch course that I've got. And I can always add a link to that also. And we explore in a lot more detail proprioception and the 8 zone touch points, and there's practical techniques and case studies and exercises that can strengthen the mind-body connection that you have. But the important thing here is that you remember that touch is always a conversation. And missing it means that you're missing parts of the vocabulary that your horse is trying to share with you. It's a little bit like when you're trying to have a conversation and somebody just keeps jumping in, trying to push the conversation further forward because they think they know what you're going to say and they get it wrong. Try and apply that to the touch that you have with your horses, because that's important. That's really important. So like I say, I will add a file so you can go back and have a look at it in more detail. But yeah, now I would love to have your feedback on this. So please put any questions that you have in the comments, whether you're need time to sit on it, go play with your horses, feel that conversation that you're having with touch, make sure that it's, like I say, bilateral, and understand this connection of mind and body and where you are in space. That let proprioception happen in the moment. Have a wonderful weekend, and hopefully it stays these beautiful temperatures, and I will see you next week. And yeah, take care for now.